positive this development would be for areas like Montana, Nebraska. It would result in an industrial boom. I would call it an industrial revolution almost. If I didn't have anything else, I'd say just based upon the energy platform alone would I give my vote to McCain. And once you select Obama and pay $10 at the pump, Jesus, you'll know very quickly what I'm talking about. He completely abandons us for the short and midterm. I really ask you to think about that. When I talked about job resume, the job interview, I applied the same principles as when I apply for a job. I have to bring all kinds of documentation, and the employer will scrutinize my documentation and try to find if my qualification, my skill set, my results in the past could be applicable for my job in the future. Well, let's do the very same thing, considering Mr. McCain and Mr. Obama as candidates. We are the boss after all, right? Where are the accomplishments? Where is the track record of Senator Obama? Where's the resume of Senator Obama? Where are any legislative accomplishments, any law he has authored, even co-sponsored? I researched it. The man actually authored 2 legislations, one which makes lobbyists stand in Congress, and another one which had something to do with the Republic of Congo. That's it. So there are no legislative accomplishments. Then they attack Palin on experience. Well, okay, let's take experience. As a business exec, I certainly know the difference between what I call executive experience and legislative experience. A legislator, a professor, may be well educated, but what they do is they deliberate legislation, they discuss it, they talk about it, they work with paper. An executive has to hire, fire people. An executive manages all kinds of departments, and every decision he or she makes has an impact on their employees. In that regard, Obama doesn't have anything to produce, whereas Palin has at least 1.5 years as a governor, if not to mention the 6 years as a mayor. McCain also is a legislator, but at least he led military organizations. He led as chairman of Senate subcommittees. So at least he's got some executive experience, leading me to believe that he could perform that difficult job of an executive leader of the free world. Obama doesn't have shit. I'm sorry. So if I look at the material before me, there is nothing here. There's just words. I mean, the man is a gifted speaker, a beautiful speaker, charismatic, likable, like a tele-evangelist. And on the other hand, you have a stiff, wooden guy who served pretty much his entire life and got the scars to prove that. He can barely move because every bone has been broken. But man, that guy got a track record. And if I have to choose a leader during times of crucial times, I'd rather take the one with a track record and experience. Even Clinton admitted so much. And truthfully, I wouldn't be here speaking to a camera if Clinton was on that side, or even Biden. Because then I would say, well, at least we got experienced people. Either one or the other. That's all right with me. But to put our chips on somebody who has zero track record is just a scary, scary proposition. I know America lives off celebrity status and hype and Hollywood and the hero rides in the sunset. I know. I love America for that. I mean, this is the country where everybody can do pretty much anything. But here we are speaking about the President of the United States. Reagan had so much more experience when he was elected, even though the Europeans laughed when an actor became president. They didn't know how much was behind in terms of substance. With Obama, there is nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there. You cannot bank the country on an unknown quantity, just on speeches alone. Looking at our economy platform, comparing the two candidates, I only ask you, the normal Joe Blow, the independent swing voter, not the left-wing guy or the right-wing guy, but I ask the middle guy, people like me, to just think about for a second what they would do if finances get tight in their own families. What do? Well, you tighten the belt. You cut expenses. You try to save money. You certainly don't go out there and spend more, right? As a business exec who has turned around several companies, that's my specialty. Well, in terms of crisis, the last thing you do is blow up the waterhead, the management. You don't do that. You cut costs. You cut spending. You reinvent yourself. You streamline. You consolidate. You optimize an organization. But you do not hire additional managers and overhead and increase spending everywhere. It's the last thing you're going to do. To bring it up to the helicopter view of the economy, what McCain proposes makes sense. Forget for a second he's a Republican. Well, actually, he stood oftentimes against his own party, enough for me to believe him that he will do so again if needed. But in fact, the Republican fiscal policy is the right one. It's about cutting spending. It's about reducing the deficits. It's about reducing the debt. It's not about creating additional programs and additional spending. And that's what Obama proposes. And certainly not, it's not about raising taxes. The last thing you want to do right now is raise taxes on businesses. You know how many businesses are being impacted by Obama's, what was it, $250,000 borderline? How many small businesses are going to be impacted? How many businesses are going to go broke? Start firing people? So in reality, if you are able to brush the argument, that populist argument of McCain is just the same thing like Bush. Bush means GOP, GOP means economic downturn. If you can brush that aside and accept my statement that we had downturns before, and they are to a certain extent subject to normal ebb and flow, if you can look past this link of McCain to Bush, then you will actually realize it's exactly the kind of policy McCain proposes which makes sense. And it's not the kind of left, liberal, almost socialist approach Obama has. I mean, you can argue about redistribution of wealth. That's a socialistic approach. What you cannot argue with is the fact that Senator Obama as well as Senator Biden are in the top 3 of the single most left voters. Their own voting record proves it. Doesn't that scare you a bit? In time of turmoil, to put the country on a huge swing towards the left, that scares the living daylight out of me. Another populist argument is on foreign policy. The Iraq war is costing us so much money. You got to get out quickly. Shall we throw away the hard-fought, hard-earned results so far? Shall we throw that really away? Has anyone ever thought about the fact